Everyone's been asking me what it's like to be back in the world after having been locked up. I spent a year in prison and then I was put on house arrest for 2 years. Recently, I was released off of the ankle monitor onto parole and back to what you might call a mostly normal day to day existence.
I mean, there are the obvious things about being out that are clearly an upgrade, namely that, I can leave the house without law enforcement having to be directly involved. I mean, before I had the ankle monitor, which was a GPS tracker, which tracked every step I took, and anytime I wanted to leave the house, it had to be pre approved by parole and probation. Being confined like that can certainly be psychologically taxing over time. So obviously, it's great to not have that hanging over every moment of my life anymore. But as far as this great sense of liberation, where now I'm suddenly allowed to go do all of the things that I was being deprived of before, it's just not there. I feel like there's not much here that is on offer that is deeply appealing to me. There are two invaluable insights that I have gained after going through everything that has happened in my life over the last 5 years or so. The first one came from serious drug addiction, and the second one came from my experience being locked up. Drug addiction taught me that there is no amount of indulging in something that is ever going to bring you a lasting sense of peace and well being. What I learned in prison is there is a stable, lasting sense of peace and well being that is available to be discovered in the absence of superfluous choices and distractions.
Since my release, I'm still working my minimal wage warehouse job. It still occupies many of my waking hours. I still do my best to stick to my healthy eating and my exercise routine. All in all, not a lot has changed. And I actually like it that way. I'm actually struggling to keep it that way. When getting done with something like being incarcerated, where you've been removed from the world, I think there's this presumption that one would want to indulge in all of the things that they've been cut off from. For me, the challenge is more of the opposite. What am I not going to do that everybody else is sort of doing on autopilot because they've been steeped in this world and they aren't really second guessing it? What are those things that I want to be careful about not stepping back into? When we reflect on how we want our lives to be different, how we want to make our lives better, I think we have this tendency to focus on what we want to obtain, what we want to have that will fix the things. I think it might be less common, but perhaps much more instructive, not in every case, but in many cases, to instead ask ourselves, what can we take away that will enhance our lives? It's hard work to remove things from our lives that have become habitual. One of the most valuable things about being locked up and kind of removed from the world was that I didn't have to do the work to eliminate all the bad habits from my life. It was done for me. And at first it was really painful. But once I settled into it, I got to really make contact with the effect that these things were having on me. Having too many options, especially when those options are superficial or unimportant, is a hindrance. As I'm coming back out into the world and I'm bombarded by all these options, I'm really feeling that. So, although it is nice to be out, it's nice to have the freedom to choose, I think I'm gonna keep living like I'm on house arrest, in the sense that I'm gonna keep my options limited, keep my choices focused on the ones that are actually important, and continue to try to cultivate this deeper sense of fulfillment. You all are the best. I'll see you on the next one.